right. Can everybody hear me? How's everybody doing? Can you say win? Win. Every day. Thank you. Because I know that's what you guys want to do each and every day. So I'm excited about being here. Let's give Tim Bound another round of applause for pulling this all together. So obviously, as he said, I work with LinkedIn, and very important. Anybody heard of LinkedIn in here? Anybody? Okay, what? Thank you. I know it's always one. But I'm very excited about the opportunity to come and speak to you this morning. So let's get started. A little about myself. I've been in sales for a long time, and who's that guy in that picture right there? With the pre-Instagram, pose right there. That's me. That's when I was a young and really, really focused and motivated and really energetic salesperson. Coming out of college, working for Motorola, I was ready to take on the world. Ready to make a lot of money, really, really be the best salesperson that Motorola has ever seen. And that kind of happened a little bit. And then also I thought I made it, right? Because ultimately, I had a company car. And that was a big thing. I had a car. I had made it. My mom was proud. So let's fast forward a few years. Here I am today. I look pretty much the same, I would say. Would you say? I think pretty much the same. Not as much money as I thought I was going to make back then, but I have kids, so there's an explanation for that. But I am super motivated each and every day to come in and really drive the outcomes in our sales development organization at LinkedIn. And the reason that is my motivation has changed a little bit. It was about me back then, but now it's about my people. It's about driving the outcomes for our members and our customers. And I hope that you have that same motivation each and every day. Sales development is at the tip of the spear, right? We are the ones who are in there building the value propositions early on in the process to help our customers and prospects understand what right looks like and how we can help them achieve their dreams. And especially in SMB who are looking for help and the complexity, our job is to make that very clear. So I'm excited every day to come in and really drive that outcome of the business and create it. And as you say here, what Satya says is that, and I believe that, as an organization, but as people, we have to reinvent ourselves. So the guy right there, he was a totally different person than he is the guy that's standing here today, because I've had to reinvent myself. I had to think differently. And as we say at LinkedIn, have a growth mindset in terms of how we continue to evolve ourselves and continue to engage ourselves in a way that benefits our customers and, more importantly, the people who get up every day and do the really, really hard stuff. I like doing hard stuff. That's why I'm in sales development, and I know that's why you're in here too. So let's talk a little bit about the next phase. So I'm going to share a little bit with you today about sort of the evolution of sales. So face-to-face, this was sort of the beginning evolution of sales. This grew a lot of the companies that you kind of known many years ago, the IBMs, the Xeroxes, the Oracles. This is about relationships. And remember that word relationship, because that's important. It is about developing relationships. This is about looking people in the eye and letting them know this is how we can actually build our process. Here's how we can help you. Here's how our products and our services can really serve your needs. And that worked. It worked really well. It really created, the real dynamics that you see in a lot of the organizations today in sales process. However, like any process, it started to have pressure, right? To be more efficient, more productive, more dynamic. And when you were sales development back then, you pretty much did the same thing, because salespeople did this prospecting. I did prospecting when I was at Motorola. It wasn't like I had somebody to turn to and said, hey, give me a whole bunch of great leads so I can go close them. That wasn't what happened. This is what it looked like back then. So some of you may not have know with this, like phone books, and they see the fingers. Yeah, let your fingers do the walking through the yellow pages. How many remember that? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's right. It's all right. That's all right to do that. And then that other thing there, and I think that was mine, that Rolodex. Your Rolodex was a key to your success, the context that you had. We didn't have, unfortunately at then there wasn't LinkedIn, but you didn't have the opportunity. So it was all about making contacts and keeping that in a really good essence. So that was sort of the early process and tools of sales development. But over the years, we've gotten smarter. And we have a lot of you who are in here, you're founders or you're working for companies that started, the next evolution in sales. And that's about what? Automation. Say automation. Automation. Thank you. You guys are paying attention. You guys are awesome. And so when you look at automation, this has created the next phase of great, in the sales process. But it's also created a lot of different dynamics that's created in the sales process. So if you take a look at some of this, there's some interesting dynamics that automation has brought to the table. The creation of inside sales, telesales, telemarketing, created reach. So sales teams now could actually create and drive more success by reaching and talking to more people, right, at a much faster pace than they could ever do before. The innovation around CRM and marketing automation, it really helped us get more efficient and more effective and able to standardize processes and understand the value of kind of what work was that the marketing campaigns that we were doing. More success, more data, more insight. Role specialization, it allowed us to really say now we can actually get really focused. We can have sales development focus on prospecting and creating great lead outcomes for our sales teams. AEs, account executives, were able to now focus on winning and closing deals. That was the most important thing. And then it also allowed our relationship manager and account executives, level specialization to be able to now grow accounts. So the whole concept of growing accounts and making it more effective. So this was kind of the model of that. Now with automation, as you know, automation scales fairly quickly, and thank you for all the great tech companies that are in here today that's helped really foster this. But with automation also comes some other, as I said, there's headwinds and there's tailwinds. And what's created some of the headwinds in the automation is a couple of things. Increasing buyer complexity. How many of you, let me see a round of hands, how many of you deal with complexity in your sales process? How many of you have that? Most of you should, right? Because this is a big, big opportunity for us as we think about it. And why is there increasing buyer complexity? It's because why? There's no longer one decision maker in an organization. There's no longer a one office that you have to sell. There's multiple decision makers. Companies are more global in nature. They're creating more dynamics in how they sell and what they're looking for. So, and actually buyers are smarter, I hate to say this, than they were when I was in that picture doing this. They're a lot smarter because they have much more data. They have insight. In many cases, they've been already pitched to by your competitors, probably multiple times. So they know more about you than you probably know about them. And so the ability for you to kind of get in front of that and understand that is very important. It's something that we have to deal with, especially in the sales development space, because when you first interact with that customer, you need to know, your stuff, and understand what they're dealing with and how your product and the services that you provide can provide the value and meet the needs of that customer. It's all about customer value. The other thing is the majority of companies are using sales automation. So every company, and over time, my belief is that technology normalizes, right? Technology begins like, okay, somebody has this part of a technology, next thing you know, somebody else has it. Because I remember the first time we started doing email contact information, or we could tell when somebody opened up an email a few years ago. It was a little creepy for some people to know that, oh, I see that you read my email, but that probably wasn't the best talk track when you called them. Because they're like, well, how did you know are you got a camera in my office somewhere? How do you know that? So it was always important to do that. But everybody's using the same technology. And that's because we have a lot of great sales development organizations that have created sales process and opportunity for people to cloud. So how do you really get to that? So all of these things have created, a big, big dynamic within our industry and the work that we're doing. And this is some numbers to talk about it based on the Bridge Group. So as you know, over the last probably 5 years or so, click-through rates have declined. So when you think about all the web information that you have and all the great emails and design that marketing tries to put through, there's only about 3% of people are actually clicking on those emails. And some of that has to do with saturation in the marketplace, because why? They know that if I don't look at your email today, I'll look at your email that you send probably in about 3 hours. And I'll see another email in another 6 hours. And so they know that's where it is. Attempts per prospect, right? And this is just based on the Bridge Group. Some things are higher and lower. But 9.1 times, as it says here, the attempts to get a hold of somebody. 9 attempts, 9.1 times. How many of you deal with that, right? Just the ideal of how do you get that, quicker contact with people and understanding that. And then if you look at the number of reps attain quota, so with all the technology, all the things that we're doing, you would assume that we have a lot of people making money, hitting quotas, making our numbers every month. But in reality, this is about 53% of reps attain quota every month. I mean, it's dropped. And you go like, well, what's going on? Well, I think we're at the dynamic phase of a next phase of great in our industry, which is something that we all have to try to embrace. And this is the next era of, this. But before I go there, but it's like, and this is the IDC, it says 10 cents for every dollar is lost to productivity. So we're spending a dime for every dollar, on lost productivity. And that's something that we can't afford to do. So what's the next phase of great? This is it. It's about relationship building at scale. You remember when I said a few minutes ago about remember relationships? It's interesting, right? Because sometimes they say, what goes around comes around. And that face-to-face engagement that we had back in the early part of developing sales process and sales engagement with the outside sales teams, that never really has gone away. But I think we've kind of like overcome that, or at least haven't paid a lot of attention to that, and just based on the technology, have allowed technology to kind of drive those interactions. Well, I'm here today to tell you that it's time for us to get back to relationship building at scale, right? We have to develop, and look for the opportunities to create better engagements and better experiences with customers and our prospects on a day-to-day basis. And if you're not preparing your teams, if you're not building your organization around driving and developing relationship engagement, and that's from the beginning of how you hire people, to how you train them, to what you hold them accountable for each and every day. Yes, we still got to produce the dollars and we got to produce the leads, and we still got to do that. But it's about how you do it. And I think that's what, if anything you walk away today from this, I just want you to remember that and just really get inspired and really fired up to really create the right outcomes for your people on a relationship basis, right? Because what do you want your people to do every day? And we said it 3 times earlier. What is it? Win. Can you say it again? Win. Hey, you guys in the back there, you guys don't want to win? Come on. There you go. Thank you. Win every day. So that's what it is. So when you think about this at scale, what we found, and this is using about 600,000 opportunities, combining at LinkedIn data, we found that when you have 6+ connections to a buyer, right, and those connections can be varying degrees, this is what happens. You can improve your sales cycle by 10%. Now, how many of you would love to be able to do that today, all right? And look at, more importantly, or bigger cycle is there is an increase in win rates, or a 34% increase in win rates. So when you have connections, when you have, again, what we talked about said earlier, said what? Relationships. That is something that really makes the difference in how you actually can engage your people to make sure they are driving the right interactions and the right relationships and the right dynamics, with customers and your prospects. So if you had 34% more sales, how many of you would be happy about that? Can I get a ray of hands? Everybody should have their hands up. No matter what you're doing in sales development, leadership, or if you're an SDR, that is really what makes the difference. So relationships matter is a big thing. So how and why does this work? Reps want to learn and grow in their roles. Many SDRs start their careers at an SDR, learning, grinding it out, figuring it out, but ultimately they want to become the next, great salesperson or sales executive at your company or at other companies. So they want to be able to do this. And why does it work? As you can see here, is significance, the autonomy, the skill variety. They really want to make things important for them. Buyers are open to relationships. I think a few years ago, people were hesitant to kind of connect with people. I think things have changed. We're a global economy. Things are more and more effective around the world in terms of how we talk to people. I think there used to be like 6 degrees of separation. Now I think with Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and all these things, it's probably now 2. So you can look, or maybe even 1. I'm sure you can look in your profile and you can find somebody that knows somebody pretty quickly today. So they want to relate. It's credible. People want relationships. It is a relationship era. And buyers need trusted advisors. One of the things that I think is important as we walk through our sales development work that we do is how do we create that right engagement, that right personality to be able to help our buyers and prospects understand that we're there to help them, right? We're not there to sell a product. We're not there to, kind of just get a deal and then leave. We're there to really help them grow. And again, the more that you can create that environment for your team and your people and the room for them to do that, it's important. Yes. Does this cost money? Yeah, it does cost money to be a trusted advisor. But guess what? It also costs money if you don't create a trusted advisor role, because it means that you're not going to get the sales that you probably need to get or you should get based on the work that you do. Customers want to have this, and it's absolutely critical that they interact with salespeople who they believe in and who have the right engagement. So, and this is just talking about the connections again a little bit. So if you look at decision maker acceptance rates, and this is increase in commonality, look at that. If you have similar skills, it's roughly about 12%, follow the same group, or, it's about 20%. But look at if you attended the same school at the same time. Look at that. There's a 53% improvement in acceptance rates in LinkedIn email, in mail, so if you actually do this right. Building connections, building relationships, and I know each and every one of you, how many of you already got some LinkedIn requests today from in your LinkedIn request box, right? All right, there you go. So yeah, because that's the way we do business, that's the way the new era of sales, relationship sales, has created this environment for us to really partner and grow together as an ecosystem. But this is really important. It's increased by commonality. You got to drive that. And as I talked about earlier, the buying decision is roughly about 7 buyers involved that you have to engage with. So just time and energy and focus. The more you can do relationship building, probably the more importantly, the quicker you can get to the deals. As I said, it takes about 10% off your sales cycle. So what are the really critical factors in helping you as sales leaders and SDRs and managers to get to this relationship sales process? Where does it start? What is the outcome that you're looking for? Is it about the technology? What are your answers? Is it about the technology? No, it's not. You guys are great. It's not about the technology. It's about people. So soft skills, 50% of leaders, and again, this is a study that we did last year, say that soft skills are the most important things to be able to qualify your new hires and train people on, right? It is about the soft skills that they have. So what are the big 3 soft skills that companies are looking for most in 2019 based on our LinkedIn survey? It's about creativity. You want people who can actually think on their feet. You got to hire, you got to train people, you got to look for people who can think on their feet. When you're asking interview questions, how much are you focused on creativity, in that organization? Are you looking about, hey, sell this pen to me, here's the pen, sell it to me, tell me what you would say. Give me all that. Is that, really, really going to make a big difference? Yeah, it could in some cases, but the answer is no, it's not at the end of the day. You want people who can think on their feet. Tell them, find their inspiration, and that's where it comes the next one, their persuasion. Are they persuasive? Can they tell a story, right? Because that's critical. Start talking to people when you're bringing them into your organization, or especially in the sales development. Can they tell a story? Can they listen? Can they really have an effect of driving the right outcomes for their clients? Are they more inside out versus outside, outside in versus inside out? So really, really focus on that. Can they tell the story? Persuasion is a big thing. And then the other one that came up is the whole collaboration piece, right? You need people in your organization who can work as a team. As you know, sales development is a team sport. Some days it can be rough, and other days it can be, better, it can be good. But ultimately, we need people who can collaborate, not only with the internal teams, as you saw earlier, David put up, all of the individual organizations and decision makers that you have just inside your company that you work with marketing, operations, finance. You need people who can collaborate and really feel like they have a part of the industry at their focus. So this is a big part of what, we continue to hire for. So, a couple takeaways from these. And one of the things that I've seen over time is that sometimes sales development can be sort of a lonely place, right? As people say, can you say yes? Yes. Okay, can you say yes again? Yes. You guys feel lonely? I'm sorry about that. I'm really sorry about that. No, I know. It's a lonely place sometimes. Well, because people, like I said earlier, don't really understand sort of the work we do, or in some cases believe that the work we do could be handled online or through mobile or other things like that. But we do important work, right? And I think the ideal is having your people feel that there's a common purpose. They have to see the tie-in because, well, I know when I talk to my sales development reps, where's a couple? I have a couple of them here. Whoop, whoop, where's my sales development reps out in the back there? Okay, Diego and Jess, thank you for being here. One of the things that is important is that they understand the work that they're doing and how that applies to the outcomes and the success of the company. So having that common purpose and really, really driving that with them, even though they might be, the newest employees in your organization, or, they're doing this, it's about driving that common purpose. The second thing is invest in business skills. Like I said, you have to get these relationship skills in. And I truly believe that you can develop these skills. Some people say, no, I don't think so. They either have it or they don't. But I disagree with that theory. I believe that we should be able to invest in skills to increase their business acumen. I'm really big on making sure that people understand the industry that they're dealing with. Because when you talk to an accountant, when you talk to a professional services, you need to understand how they make money. They should know that before they even call. They should know what the issues are of the industry. They should know their competitors in the marketplace. So they should know all that. So invest in skills and building relationship, listening skills, and as we say, modern selling. Using the connections that they know to be able to build that web of support for them as they create, their best outcomes for the business. And like everything else, and this is like you get it, start with quality. Quality is more important than quantity, as we know that, right? The experience matters. The moments of truth matter. So when you have that opportunity to create that moment of truth, and in sales development, we only have a short window. It's a very, very short window because people are busy. They're trying to get things done. They're being called by 7 other people who want to get their time on their calendar. So when you're in that moment, make sure you create the most valuable customer experience as possible. And think about the experience. Don't think about the product. Think about listening, understanding what their needs are, and how we can continue to grow the relationship with those people. It's about the experience that really matters. So, with that said, I wanted to, again, thank you for your attention today and your audience participation. It was great, but just like any other industry, our sales industry and sales development industry has the opportunity to continue to evolve. It can be disrupted. It's going to continue to do that way. But I think, as I said earlier in my discussion point, relationships matter. And even though it's been a series of decades where we talk about face-to-face, they matter really, really today. And I hope that you all are successful in your journeys in creating a relationship-driven organization. So thank you very much.